Hey everybody, how's it going? I'm sorry that I haven't kept up with doing more live streams in the live channel or main videos in the main channel. I'm not quite sure what it is. Not quite sure if it's current events. Not quite sure if it's just my time or whatever. But I have not had the enthusiasm towards doing the videos that I've been doing the same way that I used to. It's genuinely changed. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that I have really just been kind of go for like 13 years, 12 years with this business, 1 year before interning at recording studios and working until 1 or 4 in the morning. Something changed, but it is what it is. I'm going to be fixing a MacBook today. We have an A1707 that is filled with stickers. And we're going to try and figure out why this MacBook with its stickers is not turning on. So I'm going to place it on the desk. I'm going to take a look at it on the overhead camera. According to my USB-C amp meter that just fell off the table as I moved it into view, go effing figure, it shows, okay, boot loops ones, 5 volts, 24 milliamps, 19 volts, 82 milliamps, 26 milliamps, 27 milliamps, and it's dead. It never turns on. It's stuck at 16 to 24 milliamps. Let's take the board out of the case and see if we can figure it out. Welcome to post-COVID depression. You think it's strange because there's a lot of people that profited from the last one. Here's the interesting thing. So this is a depression, right? Yet housing prices really don't seem to have done anything. Like in the last one, you saw housing prices go, but like I'm seeing houses that I looked at that I thought this is never going to sell. This is a dump, and they're selling for close to asking price all over the place. So somebody's got money to sweep up all this stuff. It is interesting. This doesn't seem like it's going to have the same pattern as the last one. It doesn't seem like this has the same pattern as the last recession. Maybe it does. Maybe it's just because I was much younger back then that I wasn't paying as much attention to it. Housing in my area hasn't dropped either. Don't understand it. This recession will have massive inflation compared to the last one. Yeah, that's believable. Yeah, like on one hand, I put money in the stock market as a hedge against inflation. On the other hand, I assume the stock market's going to crash at any minute, so I'm constantly taking the money out of it. And every time I see something on the news, like coronavirus ravages next state, and stock market go down, I buy, and then, reopening may be happening soon. Stock go up, I sell. I'm not keeping anything in anything right now. If everything seems very volatile. I definitely don't want to be keeping it in US dollars because that shit's going to be toilet paper soon. That's going to be a steaming pile of toilet paper. I wonder how long before the US tanks as economic superpower. Huh. We'll see. It's really interesting because even after like something is on the down, even after, how do I put this? Something can fail but still kind of coast along for a really long time just on fumes. It's hard to tell how long that is. I think New York real estate has been doing that for a long time, coasting on fumes. You have so many freaking vacancies, how the fuck are prices still as high as they are? If you have over 170,000 luxury apartments that are vacant constantly, 250,000 or so, why do they all still cost so much? It's strange. It's very strange. It's a lot of stuff here has been coasting for a really long time, and a reckoning is due. Okay, so we have the MacBook out of the computer. Everything has been unplugged now. Now we are going to take a look at the MacBook, and it is very, very dusty. Now, one of the things that I always like to do is I always look for my visual cues before fast-forwarding to measuring everything. Remember, it's easier to use your eyes than it is to use your brain. Much easier to use your eyes than to use your brain. Your brain takes up more energy than almost everything in your body. Then again, you kind of have to use your eyes to use your brain, so that's probably a shit analogy. But you get the idea. You get what I'm going for there. Alright, so it peaked to 700 milliamps at 5 volts. That's really weird. So I'm kind of curious. Why would it do that? Is there a rail that's shorted? My PP Bus G3 Hot is... Oh, come on, show up on screen. There we go. PP Bus. Yeah, that's not a short. We don't have a short circuit there. Terrible Fire says people lose their shit at people distance sunbathing in the park, but they're cool people nipple to nipple protesting. I honestly like the fact that there's a lot of people doing the protesting, because here's what it does. When I said that my store costs, let's say, 18 or 20,000 or 22,000 a week to operate, and people said, you're a piece of shit for not closing. I can't believe you didn't close. You know, think of people dying. What about death? What about dying? Money's not worth your life. They were making a strange calculation. What they were doing is they were ignoring the fact that I'm not weighing death versus money. I'm weighing a 0.4% chance that I die if I get it as someone who's in the 18 to 44 age range with no pre-existing conditions, versus complete and utter destruction of everything I've worked for 13 to 15 years, and really, really awful depression for the rest of my life as a result of losing out on that opportunity. And what the protest did, which I was really, again, I'm not saying this is a wise ass, I was happy with it, is what the protest did is they showed that this whole thing of, you want people to die? You gonna care about people dying? Was crap. Because that's not how anybody makes decisions. Nobody makes decisions based on this rigid structure. They make it based on probabilities. They make it based on statistics. It's not, well, do you want to ride a nice bike or do you want to be alive? It's no. What is it to me? Like the 0.000% chance that I get hit by an Uber on the way home and then die, versus genuinely enjoying my transportation versus being on the train where I feel really, really depressed throughout the day. It's not a black and white thing. So with the protest, it was, okay, do you want to risk your 0.4% chance of death if you get it, maybe lower, or do you want to stay silent during one of the arguably worst, abuses of power that have happened in a short few months in a really long time? Like, do you want to stay silent during something that really, really hurts you to see? Do you want people to think that this is okay? And a lot of people that took to the streets said, the 0.04% chance that I will die as 18 to 44 with no pre-existing conditions is worth it to me to be able to stand in solidarity with other people and say, fuck that, I think what's going on is wrong. Whether you agree with the protest, whether you think they go too far, whether you think they don't go far enough, that's irrelevant for the purposes of this discussion. It showed that when faced with this, people that are on often the same side of the political spectrum saying, Lewis, you're a total piece of shit for not just giving up your entire livelihood and everything you've ever worked for because of 0.04% chance of death, it kind of lets them understand it, right? So let's say someone's talking about microaggressions and they're laughing about it, and they're on the other side of the political spectrum. Let's say somebody's like more right, and they're laughing about microaggressions and how they don't exist and blah, 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 and this is... Well, one of the things you have to do is you really have to get people to understand it from their point of view, not from yours, from theirs. So what I would do to that person who thinks that microaggressions don't exist in any way, shape, or form is tell them to go to New York University or Yale University wearing a MAGA hat with a T-shirt that has some Ben Garrison comics on it. They'll get it. They'll understand. Maybe they don't beforehand, but they'll get it afterwards. You really have to come to people where they are, not where you are. So with the protest, what I liked about it is I could walk up to those people that said, Louis, you're an idiot. Why don't you just go to your money tree and print 22,000 or 30,000 or whatever dollars a week? Or Louis, you're an idiot. Why don't you just start a new business after your current business gets destroyed because it's so easy, rather than reopen, have employees wear masks, have customers distance, and clean things off, and tell people if they have any sort of immunodeficiency to stay the fuck home and we'll pay your salary and do a little extra work among us. You should have just closed and destroyed your entire life. Well, now you know how I feel, because something happened that was really, really bad, that affected you personally, that made you feel like you were threatened or people that are like you were threatened, and you walked out into the street and said, fuck that. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it, as long as you now understand how the business owners feel. All right, I got an A1502 that draws 0.03 amps. What should I check? Haha, you have a missing PM sleep S4L. You get to check everything. No, I'm serious. You have missing PM sleep S4L. Check out my playlist, missing PM sleep S4L, and have fun with that one. It could be a number of things. Is PP5ES5 present? Is PP-Bus G3 hot present? Is PP3V3S5 present? Is PP3V3S5 short of the ground? Is U1950 corroded? Again, PM sleep S4L missing is literally could be anything. Could be anything. It's likely more an emotional decision than a logical one, protesting during COVID. Having an outlet for rage is immediate, while contracting something is just a maybe. But that's the thing. That's the thing. Because if you had a 90% chance of death, a 50% chance of death, even a fucking 5% chance of death, you'd probably see less people in the street. Because they'd have that emotional reaction, because what you said is emotions. They would have that emotional reaction of, no, I'm not going outside. I'm scared. But they didn't. It doesn't matter if you have pre-existing conditions. What's that? Ew. That's gross. It's a pubic hair. That's how you, this is how you get corona. Nasty MacBooks. Yeah, we got a PP bus. It's 12.6. Not the highest PP bus, but it is a PP bus. All right, we're just going to go down our list of rails. Now we know that we have PP3v3_G3 hot, right? Because we need that for the CD3215s to turn on, and CD3215s have to be turning on and be getting 20 volts. So next up, we're going to check. Wait a second. Wait 1 second. What is that? And how did we miss that on the first look? I know how we missed that on the first look. We missed that on the first look because chat wasn't paying attention. I asked you to look around the board with me, and what did you do, chat? You baited me with Corona chat. You baited me with Corona talk. Every last one of you. Degenerates. By the way, Paul fixed my buttons. He claims they have water damage. I think that's bullshit. He thinks I'm being a customer. I kind of am. But see that? We got white balance back and all that. So, what do you think the chances are that this is actually going to be what's causing it? So let's take a look on the schematic at what those resistors and capacitors over there are actually for. We baited you and you fell for it. Who's the sucker, says Terrible Fire. Me! I'm the sucker! But you spend your time watching a sucker. So what does that make you? Alright. A schematic and board view. Okay, so what are these capacitors and resistors for? What does this do? That's for banjo. 0.95 volts. VCCIO. So, what is PP, VCCIO, SO, CPU? What is VCCIO? Well, okay, so we have CPU, so it's for the CPU. VCC, that's voltage. IO, for in and out. So, you have CPU vCore, and then you have VCCIO. CPU vCore is the power that the CPU uses to actually work and do its CPUing. VCCIO is the power the CPU gets so that it could speak to the chip that makes CPU power and say, I want 0.7 volts. Wait, no, never mind. I want 0.9 volts. Wait, no, I want 1.7 volts. The CPU needs to be able to ask for power before it gets it. And the CPU is going to communicate and say, here's how much power I want. Here's how much voltage I want. Modern CPUs do this. They're not like those old CPUs where you set your voltage on the board with jumpers and shit. The voltage is set dynamically. It scales. It flops. It flip-flops. And that is that. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to add some magic, authentic Amtech NC559 V2TF flux to that board. Feels good, doesn't it? It's a beautiful effing flux. Beautiful. Smells nice, doesn't it? Those in the future will be able to smell through the stream. So I'm preparing for it now by including that in my, ask people to smell the flux, let it linger. Now I'm going to take my hot air station, and I am going to heat that flux like I was overclocking an AMD processor in 2003. That's right. Tech Center, it sounds like you have a short circuit on PP3V3S5, PP5ES4, PP5ES3, or PP5ES5, or PP5ESO, PP3V3S3, or PP3V3SO. The chip creating PP3V3S5 is turning on and off because one of the rails it's creating, or sub-rails created upstream of it, downstream from it, is shorted to ground. And you are going to have to find every single rail that is created by the chip that creates PP3V3S5, as well as the rails that are downstream from them, and figure out which one is shorted. That is your homework. Alright, as you can see, we have put a little bit of flux and hot air and rework there, but it still looks kind of nasty. So now it's dried off. I'm going to use my little knife here, and I'm just going to use my knife, clean it a little, and I'm going to remove the dirt. See that? All that dirt is now gone. Now I'm going to take my soldering iron, and I'm going to do this. Now, oftentimes, once you have done your flux and hot air, moving everything around, you do a little bit of rubbing on the ends, and a little bit of rubbing that you do on the end is going to reveal the solder pad again, and it's also going to kind of make the component itself, the end of it, a little nicer. But here, that's not in the cards, because there was no real metal on the end of that to solder to anymore. That cap was done for. And also you can see that the pad that cap was going to is also pretty screwed up. So let's just take a look on the schematic and the board view for a moment. So this pad, I'm going to click on the exact pad that is gone, is this one. This is going to connect here to here. And then it goes down there. So I'm probably going to want to wire from here to there, that resistor, when I put a new cap there. And since I'm replacing the cap, I may just replace the resistor as well to be nice. Make sure that this area is in better order. Alright, I knocked off the resistor as well. I thought I had switched back to the microscope. My bad for missing that. So I'm probably going to wind up doing this. Yeah, I'm going to scrape this. Scrapey, 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 scrapey. Okay. Now I'm going to take a donor board. Now, why does Lewis work with donor boards? Why don't I use a book for everything? A little book of resistors and all that. The reason I work with the donor board is because it makes everything quicker. You have the components right then and there. Looking each individual component up will take you much longer. Having the repairs take longer means more aggravated customers. Aggravated customers means 1-star reviews, and 1-star reviews means you're no longer in business. No longer in business means no money. No money mean no food. No food mean hungry Lewis. I don't want to be a hungry Lewis. I'm actually a little bit of a hungry Lewis. Did I tell you guys I lost almost 30 pounds since last year? I've been hovering around 157 to 160, and at this time last year I was up to 188. I was taking some medicine that was kind of made me gain, and they said, you know, even if you stop taking it, it'll take probably a few years for you to lose or anything. I started taking that medicine at 168, went to 188. Now I am it sucked. I got a rowing machine from my apartment. Spend about half an hour to an hour every single day rowing. I have time to listen to an audiobook now for that time during the day. I changed my diet a little bit, got rid of a lot of the carbs. I miss my fucking burritos. I love burritos so much, and I haven't had them in a while. Doing my weightlifting, I really have been using protein shakes in the middle of the day rather than just straight up meals for a lot of stuff, and I'm pretty happy with it. So yeah, I am a little hungry, but not totally hungry, but a little hungry. Muscle isn't heavier than fat. That's BS, someone says. Yeah. And masks don't work either, right? Vaccines are terrible for you. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to tin my wire. See what I do? I'm just going to gently go over it like this. And now my wire has been tinned. So now I've gotten rid of the... So now the wire doesn't have that insulation on it anymore, so I can do this. Congrats on losing weight. You can still have burritos just in moderation. No, I can't, because that's not going to work. Because I'm going to have a burrito, and then I'm going to want another burrito, and then I'm going to wind up with 3 or 4 of them a day again, and then I'm going to be a fat fuck again. Like, sometimes Erica will show me dessert and say, you can have a cake. Oh, you want a cookie? She'll still to this day ask me for a cookie, and I always go, no cookie, no cookie. Because that's the thing, it only takes cheating once. Like, once you cheat once, it's out the door. Like, none at all. Fuck that. I achieve goal. Once I achieve goal, then I will do it. It's hard to have discipline. It really is. But, like, I'm not giving myself even one. And people have said that doesn't work. That's not sustainable. You know, you can't do that. Like, my scale tells me I lost 30 pounds, so I'm stubborn. So it really does. I should really be using hot air to put this together. Hungry enough to eat a cookie? No cookie. The polarizing filter on the lens. Yes, I do, but I probably have way too much light. Microscope do you use? I should have a link somewhere in the description. This is fine. I just want to make sure it's not touching the resistors to the left at all. I think this may actually be soldered straight to the resistor on the right. Damn it. Gotta move that over a little. I don't know, Pinnock. I think you would have to buy one that... They come with different bufangs. Like, usually when you buy it, it'll ask you what size is your bottom bracket, and you'll fill it in. So I always choose the 68 to 73. So you're going to have to choose a different one. I should probably use some more flux. A pound of muscle does weigh as much as a pound of fat. Indeed, that is true, because they're both a pound. But muscle in general weighs more than fat when you're looking at the same amount of it. Alright, that's where I want it to be. Usually around 63%. I gotta double check it, Joseph. But the more that number goes to being more mail-in, the less I really want to spend time in New York City. So what we're gonna do now is see if this fixes our problem and see if it turns on, which I bet it probably will. The reason that it was jumping up to 700 milliamps prior is because I think it wanted to turn on, but wasn't because the CPU wasn't getting anything, and then it turned itself off. So now you're gonna see it turns itself straight on. Yep, this is turning on faster than R. Kelly at a playground. Look at this. 19 volts, 1.3 amps. That is on right there. Weight isn't always a good indicator of health. Spoken like someone that doesn't want to lose weight. Can you be unhealthy and thinner? Yes. Am I personally healthier at 158 than I am at 188? Absolutely. All right, this is a happy MacBook. This thing's turning on. It's great. Rondon, yes. Correct. I mean, that's the thing, though. When you're looking at the rents in New York City, you really fucking need all of it. Like, it can't be a percentage for a certain period of time. It's got to be all. You need a lot of it to make it worth the money here. Give it a read. It will educate you on COVID. Listen, am I aware that there are people that live with side effects that really, really, really suck long after they get sick? Yes, I am. But I'm still not buying into the I'm going to destroy my entire life from now into the future for 10 or 30 years. So I'm just not. No. I think that I did what I was supposed to. I think we did a good job of it. Only one person here actually wound up getting corona, bad enough to notice it. Actually, two, and we had one of them got it from their parent, who they were staying home with. They got it while they were staying home, so someone stayed home to avoid giving it to their parents, and their parent actually wound up getting it and giving it to them. Hysterical. Lost the sense of smell for 2 days and had some. That was it. And the other guy lost the sense of smell, and that was it. 2 weeks later, fine, bam. Do I think people should not be wearing masks? No, I think people should wear masks. I think people should be cleaning. I think people should be taking basic fucking precautions. I think it's important that people take basic precautions. I'm not ruining my life over it, it is what it is. People can be mad that I chose to not ruin my life entirely over it, but I don't feel like ruining my life over it, and if that makes me an absolute fucking prick and piece of shit, then I'll live with it. I'll definitely live with some people calling me an asshole more than I'll live with a bank account that's negative 6 figures and banks and landlords and people screaming at me. Or, hell, one of the things I remember thinking is, Model Sporting Goods is bankrupt now. There's no Models to go back to. I can't go back to my old job. It doesn't exist anymore. Anyway, so this is it. This computer works. I'm going to leave a note in the ticket, and we go on to the next one.